Welcome back to Veronica Live, and I'm here with Statesman John, and this is our roundup, political roundup. Well, number one, I wanted to say, yesterday, New York City, where my children live, had a 4.8 earthquake, and then they had an aftershock that I think was about 4.4 in the evening. And so, of course, I was terrified because, I worry about terrorists in New York City, John, but not earthquakes.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. I never associated New York with earthquakes. I mean, I've been in California, up in the skiing up in Lake Tahoe when they had an earth tremor, I guess. I don't know if it was an earthquake or earth tremor, but it's like, what the hell's that? And it's like, oh, that's just an earthquake, So
Well,
it was like nothing to them people. But
it was funny because my son it didn't even faze him, because in Japan we definitely had them, and so he wasn't even phased, but I was phased. So I was just like,
so did they even notice? Did any kids notice it?
No, they did. Like the floor was shaking and the computers, and my son was actually at his apartment, and he works from home, and so the whole building was shaking. So it was substantial. But I will say, I complain a lot about New York, but I follow the mayor now on X, and after yesterday, I follow like some emergency New York kind of outlets that get information out. I was very impressed with how they were on top of it and getting the information out ASAP. And then Twitter is just amazing, because once it happened, it went viral on Twitter with everyone. And New York was definitely racing to make sure that all the bridges and things were good to go. And New York Post put out an article. I think it has to be 5.6. It was when an earthquake needs to be to start like impacting buildings structurally. So
Okay,
I learned a lot
My concern
yesterday.
with all high-rise buildings,
Yeah, I learned a lot. And, and it was funny because I actually Googled when I was in high school. I lived up in northern Maine. There used to be a base there called Loring Air Force Base. And when I was in ninth grade, we had a terrible earthquake. And in Maine, of all places. And I'm traumatized because when I was young, I lived on Guam, like K through third grade. And I was trapped in a house once, because in the old days, they trained you to run out of the house. And then, of course, when I lived in Vegas, they had an earthquake. So wherever I move, there's earthquakes, because I'm special. But it was kind of interesting, because that was like a 5.8 back, in 82 was the one in Maine. Yeah. And now New York's having earthquakes, because we had the big one in Taiwan too this week that brought down a bunch of buildings. And so praying for all of those people. But I was very impressed with New York and getting the information out. So that at least that was a positive.
Yep. Well, glad everybody's safe on that one. So.
Right. But back to Blinken declaring that Ukraine is going to join NATO, where, President Putin said that, if you invite them to NATO, well, that's going to be World War III. And so, of course, all the media outlets went bananas with it. Are we in World War III? And the only reason I can think that Biden's doing this is because he's definitely losing in the polls, if the numbers are accurate. And, what better than to have a war? And then people are like, oh, well, we can't change, the guard now because we're in war.
Well, the whole thing. First off, the Biden administration was criticizing the Ukrainians this past week. They actually attacked inland into Russia. I think it was about 750 miles inland, oil refineries and military bases with Ukrainian designed and built drones. So they did some substantial damage. They estimate that they took out at least 10 to 15% of the Russians' oil refining capacity with these attacks. So what does the Biden regime do? Instead of saying, yeah, they said, well, this is bad news because now you're attacking Russia and you're going to escalate it. What the hell do you think having Ukraine join NATO is? Is that not a provocation of the Russians? And because Putin's already said, not happening. Okay. So it's like, what is it? You're complaining when they do something in their own interest to protect themselves, that it's going to escalate stuff, and then you turn around and blabber your mouth and escalate stuff anyway. So
well, they're just who's in control, and then why the October event in Israel was their 9/11. When we had our 9/11, nobody was telling us what we could or couldn't do. And what business do we have to tell them that? Now, granted, 7 aid workers were killed this week. I don't want anybody killed. They were doing something noble, trying to get people food. But I do think these Hamas are not letting those people leave because they want, civilian collateral for more news stories,
right.
John.
The Hamas doesn't care. The Palestinians are cannon fodder. That's all they are. They don't care. And the more they get killed, the happier they are. First off, the 30,000 number that keeps getting bandied about is a Hamas-provided number, okay? The enemy is providing this number, yet our press runs like it's the gospel truth, and nobody ever questions it. And to me, that's irresponsible. But, we just, talking to Daniel, the press is not responsible, are they, when it comes to reporting stuff? But here we have Chuck Schumer telling the Israelis, you need to change your government. You need to have an election and elect a new president. And that's like, wait a minute. Aren't we complaining about Russian interference in our elections?
Well, and then we're bossing, because Netanyahu and Biden had a call. So I've got this. I sent it to you, the release of the phone call, because Biden and all of the Dems are getting so beat up. If you go on the White House Instagram, it's like, what about the people in Gaza? So whoever's writing these statements, they're saying that, Biden emphasized the strikes on the humanitarian workers and the overall situation is unacceptable, and they're telling them to stop. But what happened the day that Israel was invaded? These were not soldiers. These were innocent people. They killed babies. I mean...
They cut off people's heads. They put babies in ovens.
They raped and they're still raping people. They still have hostages, and we're telling them what to do.
They make movies of it, and they're Allah Akbaring the whole time there, and it's just, these people are vermin that need to be exterminated. Okay, you may think that's a little bit harsh, but believe me, that's what this takes.
Well, because they'd want to kill us. I'm telling you. They'd want to kill us if they were over here.
Their objective is to kill every Jew. That's their objective, okay? You're not going to change their mind about it. So the only alternative that the Israelis have is to exterminate those people. Okay?
I mean, it's just
there's
awful.
There's no redeeming them. They're irredeemable.
See these children in Gaza, and who would put your own children in harm's way and try to make it so they don't have food? Obviously it's not about their people.
Why do you think they build their headquarters under hospitals?
Yeah.
Because we don't bomb hospitals, right? So, if you bomb hospitals, it makes a great story, about how horrible the Israelis are. And the Israelis have uncovered all this stuff. But get back to Ukraine, after the break here, they're going to come back and they're going to try and pass the Ukraine aid package, and Speaker Johnson's getting his arm twisted to do something. And what the guess is that the Democrats are going to get behind whatever package that Johnson has, and they'll peel off a couple of Republicans enough to get it passed. And which back to that whole $60 billion. I just have so many problems with it because we're not helping them win. Okay, the Biden administration has zero interest in helping the Ukrainians win the war. They don't want Russia defeated. They want the Ukrainians to stalemate until they negotiate. How many hundreds? You talk about 30,000 in Gaza being killed. How many hundreds of thousands have been killed in Ukraine and Russia? Far, far more people have been killed in that war than what's going on in the Middle East. Yet nobody says anything about it from a humanitarian crisis standpoint. Why? Are Ukrainian lives less valuable than Palestinian lives? Where's the criticism? Where's the effort to, kill people and break things? Okay, that's war until the enemy has had enough.
War is messy.
That's how you
war
stop
is
it.
Awful. Plus, these people that they're warring with don't play fairly. Anyways, who rapes women and beheads babies?
Right.
And then we're the problem because we, like we're mean to Hamas, okay? Well, they killed people. They did atrocious stuff. They still have prisoners. There was one lady that was in the news in the last couple of weeks, talking about her rape, rapes. So these people are sick and disgusting. But you said in the afterburner stack, we've got the only U.S. lawmaker born in Ukraine is now skeptical of more aid. So Representative Victoria Spart speaks of atrocities witnessed by friends and family in Ukraine, but says she won't vote for the proposed $60 billion aid package for Ukraine. So I don't know. I wanted you to comment on that because that's like, whoa. Her family and friends are over there and she's done writing the checks. And then I take it all back to John, to the border that's getting overrun because apparently there's been an uptick in Arizona, Pennsylvania, even in Texas of all of these people registering to vote that are not Americans. And then a lot of these states, they're just going to be like, you want to vote? Come on. Nobody looks at your license and verifies you're an American. So I'm so concerned about November, honestly.
Well, it's back to, the back to the oil thing. Okay. This is the funny part. Okay. Because the other story that goes with this is the Biden administration is concerned that because the Ukrainians took out a bunch of Russian oil refining capacity, that the price of oil, world prices for oil, are going to go up. And I'm like, wait a minute, I thought Russian oil was embargoed by the world. Wasn't that? Oh yeah, they made a whole lot of noise about that, and yet they're concerned that taking out Russian oil refining capacity is going to raise the price of oil in the world, which is bad news for them from a political standpoint, because now we're going back to $100 or $100+ a barrel oil, and you're going to see your gas price go up to $3 to $4 a gallon in the next 4 or 5 months, because the Ukrainians took out a bunch of Russian oil capacity, which is embargoed supposedly, but it's not, because they don't really want to do that, and they're playing these games, Veronica. And we, the American people, are paying the price in more ways than one. We're taking money we don't have. We're printing more money to buy defense goods to send over there for a war we don't want them to win.
Well, and then people get mad, and and we're not letting them win.
Scratch, this Ukrainian-born woman says, enough's enough. Either get a strategy where we're going to win, as in defeat the Russians and push them back and get them out of Ukraine, or just quit. Just negotiate something and give the Russians half of Ukraine and walk away. And maybe that's what Trump's going to do. I don't know. Trump's going to end it though. So it's either get in there to win or get the hell out. And that's kind of what that's my position. If we're all in, send them the attack.
But we haven't been all in. We've been like piecemealing. And then what? It was funny because I saw Blinken talking, and then I heard the sound bites, and he's definitely aged. Oh my gosh, this position has aged the man. But
well, he's doing the job that Biden's not doing. Biden's
I feel
taking a nap,
that way. But why? Why all of a sudden are we crossing this line that Putin said not to cross, and then I'm very vocal now on X, and why are we doing this? If Trump was in the White House, I wouldn't be scared, because I don't think anybody would mess with us. But when Sleepy Joe, who had an event this week, it was supposed to be at 11. They pushed it back to 12 because apparently he sleeps till 10. He showed up late, had his CPAP marks on his face, which I know plenty of people that wear CPAP, so I'm not anti-CPAPs because we want you to be alive. And then he was babbling. They played the soundbite of him at this event. He was all over the place. So we know
Joe Biden's not running the country. Okay,
no, he's not running the country.
Dan Bongino show for the past couple of weeks has been playing the president's daily schedule. You know what his daily schedule is?
Like nothing. He's on vacation right now, by the way.
He gets the presidential daily briefing, which is not done in person. They give him an iPad with the daily briefing on it, apparently. That's his only event for the entire day. And Bongino's like, look, I worked in the Bush and the Obama White House, on the president's protective detail. As a Secret Service, your schedule is their schedule. And believe me, Biden and Bush both packed in full days with lots of stuff. And all you get out of this one is presidential daily briefing, and that's it, which means there is
an
no
Easter egg
schedule.
hunt or transgender day tied into it, Well, I wanted to ask your thoughts, too, because, you are just a few years older than me and wiser. But the Biden administration canceled the buyback of 3 million barrels to replenish the oil stockpile. So I guess we use this oil to bring down gas prices, and now we're not replenishing the 50 million barrels. Are you concerned? This sounds very scary to me.
It's worse than that, Veronica. They've drawn so much out of it that the structure, these underground caverns that they had the oil stored in, are collapsing because they're empty. Mm-hmm. They've taken the oil out that was stored in there.
So maybe it's all on purpose,
now they're falling
like everything
apart.
Else.
Right. So even if they wanted to refill them with $100 plus, see, here's the part, okay? They took the oil out and sold it at, I think it was around $60 a barrel. Now they have to refill it at $100 a barrel, and they can't afford to. So what's wrong?
I wanted your thoughts on this because I know you're worldlier on this
we have no
oil.
strategic oil reserve anymore. It's gone. And by the way, the Biden people want it that way.
Yeah,
They don't want an oil reserve because they hate oil.
As we know, because Buttigieg wants us all driving EVs, that there's going to be nowhere to plug in.
Right.
To
30 years, you don't need an oil reserve in by 2030 because we're all electric. We're all no emissions, and it's these people are insane. I mean, they're not only insane, they're stupid, and they're putting their stupid insane on the rest of the American people, and it's just I can't imagine this is America. I'm not losing hope here, okay? We can fix this stuff if we get the right people in there that apply common sense and undo this crap.
Well, I pray we take November. I pray. But it's going to be such a long time to undo this. And that's why the VP pick has got to be right, because we're going to need Republicans in the office for years to come.
Well, that was one of the stories there is Don Jr. came out and said he wants a fighter.
I know. I'm with you on that. I agree with him.
He doesn't want somebody that's just, he doesn't want Mike Pence there, who was put in there because to balance the ticket, He wants somebody that's going to get in and kick ass. And this, now back to age thing here. Okay, going way back. Nixon had Spiro Agnew, who was his attack dog. Okay, that's why he brought him along as an attack dog. And that's what he did. That was his job as VP, was to attack the press on Nixon's behalf. And he did a damn good job of it. But, so we need somebody that's a fighter. And we need to remember whoever the vice presidential pick will most likely be the candidate for president in 4 years.
Well,
so I want
we got
somebody
to have a strong fighter and nobody that's going to quit, because this week I heard a lot of Ben Carson, which the man's brilliant, but he doesn't come off like I want more of a war dog. And that Elise Stefanik, who took out the Harvard Dr. Gay, that woman was an idiot plagiarizer. Like, that woman, she showcased she was a fighter. Tim Scott, I've been hearing him on tons of interviews. I mean, he's great, but he's not hardcore enough. I think Marco Rubio's still in there.
You need a Ramaswamy type personality.
Well, that knows how to debate. Yeah, you've got to have that kind of strong.
That's the kind of personality.
And that's that Elise Stefanik.
That can stand up and and give better than they're getting. You know,
I mean, Kristi Noem is still being thrown out there, and I've seen that woman in action. I will say she's great. I don't know about the alleged affair with Corey.
Oh, that's all.
It's probably fake news,
political fake news.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they're just trying to to me, that's back to the Roy Moore. You know, here comes the, you know, pick whatever male candidate you want. They're gonna haul out somebody to say, oh, I slept with him. You know, I mean, they did it to Kavanaugh.
Well, Senator Vance is great too.
Oh, I like him. Yep.
And then, so we've got to have a fighter in there. We have to have somebody that's young, vibrant, going to be around. You know, Ramaswamy I love, but he's kind of late at entering in the political world to begin with, that I want him to serve in a cabinet position to grow and really show me that you are the Republican you say you are. So, well,
there's that, and I don't know that he has the world political experience. I may get that as vice president,
right?
But that's that, you know, that, and that's why I didn't like him as a presidential candidate. Is I don't think he was he was good on economics, okay, but he was not good on world policy.
He's great at debating, and he does show that he's strong, and I want that.
He does his homework. He comes back with the facts, and he'll go toe to toe with these people. And he's not offensive in doing it. He does it in a way that's likable.
Now,
and that's what I liked about him.
Governor Huckabee Sanders has been coming out doing a lot of interviews, and this week
she would be smoking. She would be smoking. I like her.
She's the future. She's 42,
exactly.
And then she ended this interview I saw this week. She's like, well, you know, I've got 7 years to go in Arkansas. And I'm like, Arkansas is a little drop in the hat here. We need you on the world stage. And she was excellent when she was
comm director. She's getting executive experience. She's building.
I mean, she's going to be somebody someday. And I hope it's sooner.
Right. And part of what you need to look at from and this was one of Trump's weaknesses when he was elected in 2016. He was the outsider, yes. He did not have a political team in place. He had to rely on the Washington swamp Republicans for their advice on who to put in different places. And he made a lot of horrible choices. You know, he should have fired Comey. He should have walked in the door and fired Comey.
Yeah. Oh, that man just stabbed him in the back so many times.
Well, when he found out that they were spying, and this was during the transition period, and I'm trying to remember who it was. It was a Navy admiral that was in charge of the DIA. I forget which agency he was. He was head of one of the intel agencies. He went to Trump and told him that Trump Tower is bugged, that the intel agencies are listening to your conversations that you're having in Trump Tower. Because all of a sudden, Trump decamped from Trump Tower to Bedminster, New Jersey, where they did not have it wired. He should have, at that point, you know, if I would have been Trump at that point, I would have said, are you effing joking me that the intel agencies have bugged my apartment, my offices in Trump Tower, and are listening to the next president of the United States conversations? That should have set off so many alarm bells it wouldn't have been funny.
But nothing sets off alarm bells anymore. These people are doing whatever they want, from stalking reporters, you know, all of that.
I would have went in there and said, Comey, you're gone. I would have fired every one of those people. Every one of them would have been gone. And yet, you know, and then you see the damage that Comey did, you know, by leaving him in there.
Right.
So this time around, it's not going to be. That's not the Trump that's going in there. Okay, that's not the naive Trump that doesn't have a team. This Trump's got a team. This Trump knows the people that want to stab him in the back, and I'm hoping he'll put enough people in there. Look
at this week. Laura Trump, like RNC's killing it. I think it was 90-something million that came in because nobody wants to donate with silly Rona, who needed to go a long time ago. So, let me look up the exact fee she brought in. It's like she has his back. She's family, you know, but it shouldn't just be family that has your back.
Right, but are we going to see like Whitaker go in for Attorney General? You know, he's got the experience. He's been there. You know, he was acting Attorney General for a short period of time. after the election, and it's like, he knows what's going on. He knows where the garbage is at that needs to be
Yeah.
taken out.
Well,
And that's what I'm hoping is we'll see Trump people, and Trump not unreasonably, in my opinion, demands loyalty. Okay? The Democrats have the discipline. They have the loyalty and they have the discipline, and nobody says anything about it. But when the Republicans do it, it's like, oh, you're just a corrupt, whatever. And it's like, if you can't trust the people you put in these positions to run the agencies and carry out your policies, then you've got the wrong person in that position. There's nothing wrong with loyalty. Absolutely. We want people to be loyal to the United States, right?
yeah. No,
Loyalty that's a virtue.
is
a virtue.
where, like in the military, semper fidelis, always faithful, truthful.
Right, exactly.
And, the funny thing is, there's been so much talk about Congressman Gallagher stepping away, and then he now has landed a job with Palantir, which is this really incredible company that's getting all kinds of military contracts. But people are so upset. And then, I was listening to the Clay and Buck show this week, and I guess something's up with that's making him step away. So there is a backstory that he doesn't want to release. So I don't know if it's a health issue, something. And so they're like, that's why he's stepping away. But it's been so painful because his stepping away now, not
Veronica, I disagree 100% because of the timing of what he did.
Well, I know it's horrific.
The fact that he made his resignation effective the day after they can't have a special election.
It hurts so bad.
Tells me everything I need to know about what's going on.
Well, who's true? Who's true? Washington's just a bunch of liars everywhere.
Exactly. They're all liars, and it's, fault. Number one, rule one, follow the money. Number two,
we're getting so many tattoos. Yeah, follow the money. Woke. Now we got the lawfare.
Follow the money. Right. Follow the money. Don't get dead. Okay. Another good rule. But look at the outcomes. Look at what the people do. Look at their actions. Okay.
Yeah.
And the actions. And I learned this when I was running for, when I ran for county commission the first time. When you're dealing with other people, and if you want to know who they are, it's not just what they say. Watch the nonverbal actions that they do. And I watched that during a debate between two county commission candidates. We had three of us up on three seats. It was district I think 1, 3, and 5. Anyway, those seats were all open. They were all competitive, and we were all up there. All 6 of us that were running in the Republican primary were up there. For a televised debate event, and I was watching the 2 people for District 5, I think it was, next to me, and they had to share a microphone, okay, and every time the one candidate that was the rich guy, who thought he had it in a bag, and I watched him, and his opponent, when they would switch questions, every time it was a he and a she, by the way. So he would answer, and he was very dismissive and derisive of his opponent. And so when it was her time to answer, he would not pass the microphone to her. She had to reach over and take it and move it over to her in order to answer so that you could hear her response. And I mean, just little things like that, Veronica, if you watch for that kind of stuff, it tells you who you're really dealing with. It's the little things.
Well, I'm done with Dems. I'm just over it lately because it's a culture of death. And when that's your number one platform, something's up. I'm done. And then all of this, we're growing these children that are young adults now that should be taking care of themselves and getting real jobs, but yet we're going to pay for your loans for your basket weaving degree. And I'm just done because you and we continually work hard. You're 69. I'm a young 55. But we give all every day in everything we do. And I don't want other people just getting away with it. And I just feel the Dems open that door. All of these illegals now, which they're going to be voting in these states. And if people don't wake up and Christians, if, and I've said this many times on this show, Pastor Rafael Cruz said if every Christian went to vote, we wouldn't have to worry, So
right.
Christians need to do their duty and vote, because it's about our country and the Constitution and America and saving babies and having a strong military and being on the world stage where we're respected. And we're not there. We're not there now.
Well, the problem is we're just giving away everything. We've got all these illegals coming into this country, and we pander to them. We give them everything. They're coming in. They give them a cell phone. They're giving them debit cards with $1,200 that they can spend however they want to spend.
No, I think an average family can bring in almost $8 to $10K a month.
Right,
and that's a high-paying job in America.
Right, feeding them, and it's like American citizens don't get treated like that. Yet we treat the illegals like that. That are breaking the law to come into this country, and so I have this fundamental problem with that. And even as we commenting, it passed Easter last week, and I went to the Easter vigil, and I was appalled because they did half the mass in Spanish.
Well, you told me that, and
Spanish,
I went to the 10 o'clock. I am fluent in Spanish, and it was not touted any of these masses that they were going to be bilingual, because they have a bilingual 12:30 mass, and our first reading was in Spanish, but it wasn't. We've got the Missalette booklets that have the reading, so I read it in English, and then some of the prayers were in Spanish, which there was no translation for, and I kind of. My husband and I commented about it too, because there's times when you go to a bilingual, or like in Paris, a trilingual, whatever. I've been to the Notre Dame, and it's touted as that.
Right.
This was not
touted
what
as
to expect that
when you walk in the door.
And I've gone to Spanish masses. I've gone to German. I've been to masses around the world, but it was our biggest season of Christian season, and it wasn't in English. And I kind of felt for people that didn't know Spanish, because when a lot of these words, like the biblical words, sometimes it's like, I told you when we were chatting about it, that it's like Shakespeare. It's not a normal word that even if you had studied Spanish, it's in per se your vocabulary. So, that's the thing, is that, I don't know what's going on, because it shouldn't have been a bilingual mass, because our church does do like a trilingual, Filipino, Spanish, and English, but all the English is always available to you. So I know I was kind of shocked too, because my husband commented on it, because he understands a lot of Spanish, but he's not bilingual by any means. And Easter was important.
I don't go to church to listen to Spanish language prayers,
because you didn't choose that.
I don't understand them. So what's the point of going to church?
And
if they're going to speak to me in a language I don't understand, what's the point?
I had gone Friday to the veneration, so it was 2 hours, and there was lots of Hispanics at the mass, and they all. So I don't know if the church issues this, but they had like a little lanyard, and there was a machine, and they had earpieces, so I think it's some sort of translator. So I was like, okay, well, it is in English, so they're getting some translation, but it is an American church that does mass in English.
Exactly. We live in America, we speak English, and if the foreigners can't speak English, going back to another immigration problem, because for real immigrants to this country that come here legally, become citizens, you have to speak English in order to get your citizenship. Okay, so I give no quarter to these people that come into this country and want to live in a Spanish community where all they speak is Spanish, and I'm done with it. It's like, this is America.
I don't mind if it's teased as the trilingual mass, touch our church does, because we have a big Filipino contingent and there's big Hispanic contingent, but this was not touted like this. And I've talked to a couple other people that attended, and they were kind of shocked too, because
if they want to provide the translators to the foreigners that don't speak English, I'm fine with that. Great. Use the technology. We've got technology. Let's use it. But don't force me. Don't tell me I have to use technology because you don't want to talk to me in my native language in the native country that I live in. That's the problem. That's the fundamental problem. And we get everybody, and I don't know who's behind it, whether it's the bishop level, if it's just something at the local diocese level. I don't know where this push is coming from, but it sure the hell needs to stop, and stop quick. But
well,
speaking of church,
yeah.
by the way, I don't know if you saw the story. I saw Father Pete is now Brigadier General Pete, Father Pete.
Yes, that has happened. I need to get him on the show because he's our former.
Why am I not surprised?
Right. He's a former priest here where we live, and he's always been in the reserves. And so it's so amazing that he's now a 1-star general. I love it. And he's actually on the cover of the campus. The Catholic Compass magazine?
Yeah.
And I already knew that because it went crazy on Facebook. All my Catholic friends were posting. But yeah, it's great when it's the right guy that, lands. And so I went out yesterday with, met my husband and the baby F-22 pilot class who I hadn't met, and they're graduating from the rigors of flying the simulator, and they're going to get the keys in about a week or so.
All right, actually get to
their
fly
first
by
flight in $100 million F-22. And so the reason I bring it up, because I don't talk politics with these men and women, and this class that I met was all men this time, but they're just it warms my heart. It gives me hope because they're patriotic, they're excited, they're ready to serve their country. They're about to go experience this. I mean, they've all flown because they've been to, the first year pilot training that got them to, their cream of the crop to be F-22 pilots. So this is the fancy version to get the car keys to fly the Ferrari of an F-22, but just the excitement, the passion, I always want to meet each class because it warms my heart, and it gives me hope that, our nation, our days ahead are going to be good because we have these youthful men and women that want to serve and have a love of country, and they want to be fighter pilots.
well, and it's probably one of the last bastions of merit-based, selection and.
Well, you have to be the best. You have to be the best.
Exactly. They don't. It's not DEI is not flying that airplane. You need when you hand the keys, like you said.
I don't talk politics with them.
26, 27-year-olds. You think?
Well, a couple were like 24, 25, 26, around that ballpark.
Okay, so
a lot.
So you're handing the keys to a national asset because there's not a whole lot of F-22s, and you don't want them crashing them.
But it warmed my heart. Like I was with all of them for a couple hours. We're having a great time, and I chatted with all of them because I want to feel it, and when you get to meet these studettes, you feel it, the love of country, and I just they light up. I'm like, are you excited to go fly an F-22? And their face just like explodes. I can't wait.
That way too. Like, you bet your butt
literally, you see the biggest smiles ever. I mean, there's no gloom. You know what I'm saying? So it always like charges my batteries to be around these incredible people that have chosen to serve, like you and I did. We make these. One of the things that was funny talking with them, what's always a little daunting is that they sign they have 10 years they have to be in. So that's a big commitment, but like I remember when I signed my first contract was just for 4 with the military, and I was like, 4 years, you're like panicked. Oh my gosh. Yep. And blink 20.
Oh, it goes,
it goes fast. And then,
but you look at the investment that's being made, in training them and stuff. And it's
and they don't know where they're going to land, cause, they go from here now up to Langley, and then after the Langley training, they'll get Langley, Alaska, or Hawaii.
Yeah, I don't know. The Alaska thing would be like really.
Well, a couple of them wanted that actually. I was like, I'm out. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I spent a year in Iceland, and when I was in the Navy there, and flying the P-3s out of Iceland, and it was It
No,
was
no,
the
thank
winter
you,
time in
John.
Iceland. It's not fun.
No, because I'm always losing a glove. So,
Yeah,
and
that's
where's my
exactly
hat?
right. I
And
was
in
there for a
Alaska,
summer.
you have to wear them. So,
Yeah, well,
you
I was there
know.
in a summer deployment, and the high was like 60 degrees. Everybody thought it was like heat wave.
Well, I just want to, I tell this story because America is a great place, and there are those serving our nation that care and understand what it means. And so
Well, that's what Representative Rudman, was saying. It's like you need to go to these other countries, and I would tell you, I've been blessed because my dad was in the Army, so we didn't. The longest I lived anywhere was Williamsburg for probably 6 or 7 years when I was in elementary and junior and high school. But we lived in Germany for 2 years when I was growing up. Third and fourth grade was in Germany, and it's like you get exposed to this different stuff. And then when I joined the Navy, and since I've been traveling all over the world, and it's like you're always glad to come back to America after you've been to the other places.
well, it's a great place to live. And so I did want to transition. We'll end it with our political cartoons of the week because you always pick them. And is it Monday's the big eclipse? So don't look up at the sun, because the show will be out by then. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta, schools are like not letting children go out to recess, and we're putting everybody's got their blinds and curtains pulled. But you sent me an eclipse is coming, and so it's big orange man. Trump is in front, and then behind him is this pale, gaunt Biden that looks like death, and so Trump is the eclipse is going to be covering him. And I was like, oh, that is brilliant. You totally nailed it, John.
I thought that was so funny.
And then the other joke I'm still scarred from because, I recently broke my band and went to Target. Oh, I forgot to talk about it. I went to Target. I broke my band because my daughter was here from New York, and there was some things we needed to get from Target. So I stepped foot in Target. I have not been in Target in a year and a half or more. And they've canceled my credit card. And so I'm in Target in the ladies area, and this big, huge picture is of a woman. And then next to her, the face is a man, a black man that was wearing makeup that obviously was one of these I don't know what he was, but that was in the ladies section, this awful picture. So I'm like, ugh. And then there was a section it was like black empowerment gear, like Adidas kind of wear with all this black power. And I was like, what is going on? It's not even February. And why are we promoting breaking away from being an American again? And
Right.
so I was kind of scandalized. It was all of this because I was like, white people or Asian people, we could never have Asian power, on everything.
Right. You certainly couldn't put up a white power gear,
Oh,
display, could you?
no. But it was a
Never
whole
happened there.
section with that. And I was kind of like, I'm always about, everybody talks about bringing everybody together. And how do we do that? It's by surrounding yourself with the American flag and knock off these, agendas everywhere. So, and fast forward to Easter weekend, because we haven't had this, talked about it, but the Biden administration pushed out that it was Transgender Day with all of this releases. The Governor Hochul had every single building in New York lit up for Transgender Day, not for Easter. And like Peter Feynman, who's our national committee man, posted a picture of New York from like the 50s where the buildings had crosses on them.
Yep.
In New York, and even the Niagara Falls was transgender visibility on Easter, and so your little joke here is this scary hairy man that's got rabbit ears, and he's got boobs bolted on, and his shirt's purple. It says Transgender Day of Visibility, and he's holding a sign that should say Happy Easter, but Easter's crossed out. And it says Trans Day on it. Happy Trans Day. And then there's lovely Biden with his sippy cup. And he's got blood on his hands. And it says, he says, oh, they, them has risen. So take your pronouns and shove it. So
I thought that whole cartoon said so much. It wasn't funny.
well, it's not even a real person, and I'm like scandalized by the guy.
Well, you remember if you remember and what's funny is they call it the Transgender Day of Visibility, and if you remember, what was it, about a year ago, whatever it was, they had some transgender event at the White House, and the transgender thing took off his top to show his
and was
whatever
that's the thing is we've endured that. We've had the gay staffer that had sex in one of the like pristine briefing rooms. I think that was in the Capitol.
Oh, the congressional hearing room had
we've put up
on video.
We have put up with more crap. Where is your pride and like being a lady or a gentleman? Like this doesn't exist with this party. And so, yeah, I'm just over it. And then, since I'm such an ex person and I've gone since I've got the check mark, I've always been on like 25,000 feeds. And this week I broke to over 50,000. And so I'm very excited. I'm getting close to 60. So I'm definitely out there now, but I've started following J.K. Rowling, who is a liberal. She's a full-on liberal, the writer of the wonderful, fun Harry Potter series, and she's a billionaire. How you say that with a, she's
got FU money.
Yes, which I'd love to have FU money, but I can't seem to win the Powerball, which is over $1 billion. So I'm going to try again today. But she has FU money, and she's come out and said that men are men and women are women, and it doesn't stop pretending if you have male parts that you're a woman, you're not. So she's taken this radical stance. So I've started following her, and like today she's already been tweeting up a storm, but like people put death threats on her page, and so she like screenshots it and is like, well, thanks, and then Scotland, of course, you want to talk about the Scotland thing?
Scotland, they're threatening to arrest her for
and she said, bring it. She said, bring it. Yeah.
I mean, it's, I think I heard what brought me back on that story was when I heard that, and you may or may not be aware of this, but back Robert Bork, I don't know if you know who he is.
Yes, but, because he was put up to be a Supreme Court justice, and he ended up the law school at my college, George Mason University. Like he came and joined the team, and it's like one of the conservative law schools in the country. So I know who he is. Yeah,
one of the best legal minds this country's ever seen, right? And they quote borked him. Biden was behind it, by the way, and a key player in that, but they borked him. They basically destroyed his reputation to where he had to withdraw from being
so they've been playing these games forever, honestly.
Right, but he wrote a book called Defining Deviancy Down, and he was absolutely dead on right about what's going on and predicted every bit of what you see. They're trying to normalize deviancy. That's exactly what's going on.
Well, what has happened at the White House? When have you ever had somebody like take off their top, woman or man, at the White House, or have sex except for Bill Clinton that had sex in the Oval Office? He's the only one, and he was on their team. So give me a break. Give me a break.
It was completely inappropriate.
Oh my gosh!
Completely disrespectful to what the societal norm should be. And yet it's paraded about as some great heroic act, It's like that Sam, whatever the hell his name, the guy who was in charge of nuclear waste disposal.
Yes,
that they
stole
appointed
everybody's
stealing all the luggage,
and he was wearing the women's outfits at his events.
Yes, you could wear their dresses.
Could you even imagine? Like you go to work, and this guy that says he's non-binary now is wearing a dress and high heels and lipstick, but is fully a guy. And that was a story that came out this week too. The Daily Mail had Sting, who's famous from the Police and his own being a solo artist, and his wife Trudy, that's famous for being married to Sting and a yoga person. Their daughter is like 30, and so she claims now to be non-binary. So they have all these pictures of her at some event, Hollywood event, and she's wearing a tux, no makeup, has long hair, and and all the comments, like in the cut lines, oh, she looks so dapper, or, and I'm like, no, no. So I'm just tired. It's continually pushing this agenda, and you and I are the bad guys, and don't tell me the whole world's trans, and be whatever you want.
Yeah.
Be whatever you want, but stop
Right.
telling me that I have to,
You don't have
it's
to accept
normal. It's not.
right.
And stories
It's
are
not.
coming out. Like the Mayo has a story, and like JK posted, I heard the story, about what happens to people when they put them on these blockers and stuff. I mean,
Yep.
it's not a good thing.
Yep.
It's causing them to have more cancer. It's not normal. And then there was the other story that came out saying that a lot of these kids outgrow it, and when you talk to young people that are normal,
was a stunning study. They're not talking about that study that was.
Oh no, they're trying to
first
suppress
serious
it.
study that was done over, what was it, 10 or 12 years, that they followed these kids that thought they were transgender, and it turned out that they weren't when they got to be into their
Guess
20s.
what?
They got
this
normal.
never existed before, John. And before it used to be people were anorexic and bulimic. We barely hear about that now because they've literally transitioned to this now because it's a call for attention. And then all of these girls that say they're gay, because everybody pays attention to them. They never got attention before.
Right.
And so
and they go through phase. It goes through phases. It's like the high school, the goth thing. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Oh yes,
You've
that
seen
still
that
exists. It still exists,
so
but they're
to me,
they're
that's
like 0.1 now percent.
Exactly, but it's a phase. It's if you go to what do we call girls that like to do sports and stuff when they were young, back in my day? You called them tomboys.
Yeah,
but they outgrew it, or
Right.
most of them did, or whatever. But nobody thought that just because they liked doing some things that the boys did, that's why they call them tomboys, that they wanted to be men.
Well, my problem
that never
is
occurred. I never heard of that.
And then of course, Biden tried to walk it back. Oh, well, that's just when the transgender day landed. No, you usurped our Easter. You truly did.
Yep.
And when you talk to religious people, that truly, the birth of Jesus, but is great and important, but the resurrection to come and save us. So I've been vocal. I've been putting it all out there on
Right.
X and
we should, and then Biden denying that he issued the proclamation. I mean, he literally said, "I didn't do that," and he did. But I mean,
well, his
back
people,
to his
his loser people that are running, they just fully suck. But I will say the backlash on X and all the news story, and on Facebook and on Instagram, you saw like Christians. That was like the first time I think they poked where the bear, the Christian bear, and Christians were actually like taken aback and so angry. And then of course I try to post something on Twitter or on Instagram that somebody's an idiot, and it gives me the reminder, you better not do that, and I'm like, that's why I love X.
Watch your microaggressions.
I know, I'm so passive aggressive,
Well, Veronica, it really shows you that the truth is they don't care about religion. They don't care about Christians. To them, Easter is the day the Easter bunny comes and leaves candy and eggs. You have the egg roll and stuff. Has absolutely nothing to do with the fact
and you saw that
that
story for the egg
has
roll.
Risen, they don't believe it. They don't.
Well,
right.
they had the guard of one of the National Guards. A bunch of families were coming, and they were informed, all the people coming to the White House, not to have Christian crosses or anything on the eggs.
Right.
That it was going to be secular, and I was like, what? And then he pretends to be Catholic, and so there's been some pushback for some of these higher Catholic leaders. I'm just over it. You cannot kill babies and be Catholic. That's the line. That's the line. Putin has his Ukraine can't join NATO line, and I've got my you're killing babies, and I'm just over it now. I'm just
It's like Israel and the Palestinians. The Democrat Party sides with the Palestinians, and there's a visceral
which
hatred
is shocking,
for the Israelis
and to
the
think
Jews.
Schumer is Jewish. So all of these,
but he's a liberal. He's a liberal first, and he's Jewish second. Okay, that's the problem. The same thing with Joe Biden. He's a liberal first and a Catholic third,
But
fourth,
you
fifth,
can't be a
whatever. You know?
cafeteria Catholic. I've been
Well,
following Catholic
Nancy
Vote
Pelosi,
on.
Nancy Pelosi, same way. You know.
Yep, Catholic Vote on Instagram and X. They're excellent because they're pushing back. They are
Yep.
pushing back on this. You
And,
cannot be
and they
Catholic and be pro killing babies.
right.
So I know I harp on it every week. I talk, about this, but this is their number one agenda.
Well, we need to expose these people for what they are in reality,
And then why would you let all these
not let them
illegals
hide
in
behind their religion?
I listened to the Cooner Report from Boston. It's great. It comes on at like 5 a.m. And so I listen to his show a lot. I call in a lot. I send him messages. What's happening, just for example, in a blue state like Massachusetts being overrun by illegals everywhere. I'm telling you, this is why I can't leave Florida, because DeSantis signed the no squatter. You can't squat here in Florida.
Yep.
Why could you squat anywhere when it's not your property? It doesn't belong to you. That's potentially somebody's income.
The liberals invent rights that don't exist. Like you have a right to housing, and that trumps people's personal property rights.
Well, and then yet we don't take care of veterans, or our own homeless population that has mental issues. So yeah, we can talk for hours, but big show. It was a big show. We want to thank Steve Gorham from Green Breakdown. He's been on several times, national figure, talking about all the silliness. And today it was they're trying to take my jeans away. So no,
and his book is excellent.
It is excellent.
People
honestly,
really need to read it.
One of my
to
tops.
Understand the big picture of what these climate idiots are doing to us.
And then, oh my goodness, Florida Representative Dr. Joel Rudman from over, in the Santa Rosa area. Fantastic. Called us from Italy. I am so having him back. He was amazing. Enjoyed that. And then attorney Daniel R. Street, his book called Fake News Exposed about Trump, and he's got like 3 of them out there, and he breaks it all down, all the fake news and the lies, and there's been nonstop that he could write 3 books on it, and so he was excellent.
His book, if you go to his website, danielrstreet.com, you can download his book for free. I mean, the audio book, and I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to have to do that. That's excellent. But next show, I've got Zach Sanchez from the boutique real estate agency Think, and he's a broker owner, and he's taken Bay County by storm. And there's a lot happening in the real estate world with the fees, which, as a someday seller, I'm okay with, but we'll talk to him, and he's a mover and shaker here in Bay County. So big show next week. And John, have a great week.
You too, Veronica.
God bless everyone, and thanks for joining
Bye.
Veronica Live.